Hey there, welcome to the Queen Mab's Journal, where you can learn all about the arts and humanities without all the pretentiousness that too often comes with them. Come on and get in, fasten that seatbelt, friend. We're going to go on a little drive, a scenic drive through Los Santos, and talk all about a topic that is a little more serious, but stick around to the end because it'll totally be worth it. That is my promise to you. Today, we're going to talk about loneliness and depression. And we're going to offer 3 books. I'm going to tell you about them. 3 books that not only explored loneliness, but offer solutions to them. And I mean real solutions. So stick around and enjoy this episode of the Queen Mab's Journal. So to start off, I've always loved books my whole life. And from a young age, I have been impressed by some authors' ability to portray loneliness in literature. Being able to capsulize such a complex emotion, often without comparing it to anything else, really helps ease the burden of feeling down. Sylvia Plath describes loneliness in similar terms as suffocation. Fans of the bell jar definitely know what I mean. However, what most authors fail to do, even the best authors, by the way, is offer a solution to loneliness. Today, I will share 3 books that describe loneliness and offers solutions to it, like real solutions. Quick warning, there are some very minor spoilers in this video. Don't worry, I was careful to select only general moments from stories and not major plot points. Number 1, Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. If long or dense novels isn't your thing, you can also read a collection of essays he wrote called A Supposedly Fun Thing I'll Never Do Again, which explores these same concepts. Wallace has this idea, and it's a fascinating one, that humans are lonely because our culture offers escapism as a remedy for sadness as opposed to genuine human connection. When we are feeling confused or down in the dumps, our culture offers drugs or alcohol to numb the pain, or social media to distract us from that pain. We have immersive video games, countless streaming services, with almost unlimited shows to choose from today. And yet, it's when those experiences end that feelings of isolation return. At some point, we're in our beds looking at our ceiling, asking ourselves, what did we even get done today? David Foster Wallace makes the case that when we feel this weight of isolation, we should search for genuine human connection, not the easy escapism chucked at us by our culture. But this is not easy. Luckily, Infinite Jest is this novel that explores this journey and creates a world where readers feel much less lonely. It's about a halfway house for drug addicts, a tennis academy, and a film that's so addicting, you lose all will to do anything else when you watch it. Check it out. Number 2, Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. In this novel, it's about a futuristic dystopia where books are burned instead of read. This fireman flees into the wilderness, and if I remember correctly, he meets a pack of travelers. Because books are illegal, as I mentioned, these travelers have to memorize entire works of literature. Now, they don't do this because it's fun, right? They do it because they're trying to preserve the humanities. This is actually a lesson for those experiencing loneliness. You might have heard that finding a community is helpful for recovering from sadness, especially grief. However, Bradbury takes things a step further by insinuating that joining a community with a shared goal is instrumental to finding peace. Think like a Bible study for elderly women. It might begin as a way for them to meet acquaintances, but it gradually evolves into a pursuit of what they find meaningful. Fahrenheit 451 is essentially a guide to help you work through similar tasks. If you read it in high school, great. If not, this is your sign from the universe, my friend, to get your shingles together and procure a copy of Fahrenheit 451. And finally, we have our third and final book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. So I won't go too deep into the psychology of this book, but simply put, half of the book is a memoir of Frankl's experience in a Nazi concentration camp. And the other half of the book is Frankl's explanation of logotherapy, which is a kind of psychotherapy focused on finding meaning in life. According to Frankl, one can fight against emotional challenges like loneliness by attributing meaning to their suffering. I'll share one anecdote from the book to illustrate this. So, according to Frankl, he knew a man who was separated from his wife in the concentration camp when they arrived. And this particular man, he made a pact with God that he would be willing to suffer whatever pain he wanted to inflict upon him, so long as his wife died painlessly. It's a rather beautiful and heartbreaking sentiment, but it's one that helped this man survive as long as he did. In other words, he ascribed meaning to his suffering. If someone can find a reason that makes all the suffering worthwhile, it becomes easier to bear. Now, in researching these books, I came across a striking trend weaving throughout the three texts. At first glance, they seem like the normal advice people give to people who are lonely. In the case of Infinite Jest, maybe don't spend so much time scrolling through whatever you're scrolling through. In the case of Fahrenheit 451, find a community of like-minded people. In the case of Man's Search for Meaning, find something you care about. Now, if you Google something like, what are some remedies for loneliness, you will find this exact list, and you know what I mean, and you probably have done this. But, these books, they add something to the usual advice. Don't just take a break from your means of escapism, in the example of Infinite Jest. Use that break as an opportunity to connect with someone else in a vulnerable way. Don't just find a community of like-minded individuals, in the case of Bradbury. Find a community and build yourselves up with a shared value. Don't just find something meaningful, in the case of Man's Search for Meaning. Recognize it as something that gives a reason to your suffering. I'm not saying these books are a cure for your loneliness. I'm not saying that if you follow these simple steps, you'll be exploding with dopamine in no time. I'm simply saying that these books will help you explore your isolation if you are feeling it. And the best way to explore loneliness is to make sure you do. But I want to know what you think. Is there a specific book that helped you get through a tough time in your life? Write it in the comments. I'll be happy to hear from you. Don't forget that you are awesome, and I appreciate having you here. If this is your kind of video, please hit subscribe. Share this with someone who you appreciate, and have a spectacular day. Thank you so much.